What does it mean to be responsible? Well, interestingly, it just probably means that you respond. And that might seem a little bit oversimplistic, but the truth is, if you respond rapidly when someone says, hey, could you do me a favor, or something like that, when you immediately respond quickly and you don't have a delay there, it's a lot easier to have a conversation with someone, right? Being responsible, we often think about it as maybe doing heroic things or being the sort of a person who has a lot of ability to get a lot of things done or something like that. But more often than not, responsibility is just responding. That's really all it is. And I think this is important to talk about because in our society, more than ever before, we are always connected, but we're not very responsible. We might jump into the flame wars or go to town trolling people on the internet, but just as soon as we start, we can stop. All you have to do is log off and walk away, and no one is going to know who you are or be able to hold you accountable in any particular way. So we have this sort of an attitude that life is supposed to be lived in a take it or leave it kind of a way. If we feel like responding to something, then we will. If we don't feel like it, then we'll just ignore it. We write people off if they don't impress us. We don't have any obligation to hold ourselves to any particular standards because everyone and everything is sort of disposable. I've talked about how gaming experiences have gotten more not fun, I guess, because we're always so busy dabbling in 100 different things that we never actually commit to any one of them fully enough to really have an amazing, well-rounded experience. We think that immersing ourselves in 1,000 things is going to give us a life that's 1,000 times better. But it's sort of like, it's like if you wanted to get married and you decided the best way to do this would be to experience all the content out there. And so you go have a relationship with every single woman that exists so that you can figure out which one is the best. Well, it kind of misses the point. It's not about diversity and quantity, it's about having a meaningful experience. That would not lead to the same type of value in a committed relationship as you would get out of just finding one person who's not perfect, but they are good and you can respect them and you can trust them and you can spend the rest of your life sharing it with them. What's more important? What's more valuable? I think we would all agree that trying to go to the buffet and eat every single thing that's available misses the point. Diversity and choice is good, but sometimes you're better off just to fill your plate with a few things you love and call it a day. Responsibility, though, is just responding. But you can't respond when you're always distracted. I also think it's interesting how sometimes if you respond quickly, it doesn't take as much energy. It's a lot easier to get a bang for your buck when you address things right away on the spot instead of trying to kick the can down the road and procrastinate. It's not that things are really hard. It's just if you don't respond very quickly, very readily, then when you do, it takes more effort. It's like if you send me a note right now and you say, hey, can you look into this? And I immediately respond and say, thank you for bringing it to my attention. I'm going to look into this and I will get back to you eventually, next week. And then I pass that note on to somebody. Well, I don't know. It's just an email that came through for something work related. And probably the extent of what I need to do is I'm just going to tag somebody else on the correct team into the email chain and forget about it. Like, that's all I'm going to do. All I'm going to do is tag somebody else, forward the email, and then move on with my day. It's almost a no effort kind of a thing. But now let's think about it from the perspective of, let's say that you send me that email and I don't respond. I respond next week. Sometime next week I respond. Well, I can't send you just a one-liner and tag somebody else in it anymore, because now time has passed. Now we're closer to a deadline of some kind. Now, instead of looping in the right team, maybe I have to place a phone call because now there's more urgency. And even if all I do need to do is loop somebody else in, I've lost credibility, because now you're thinking to yourself, well, I sent that email last week and now you're only just now responding to it to acknowledge my existence. See? So little things can be a lot bigger if you don't address them right away. And responses can be a lot easier if you respond right away. Responsibility is really about reducing latency so that when something happens that's going to warrant or need a response, you respond quickly instead of waiting for a long time to respond. And part of that is about simplifying how much you have on your plate. Because if you're extremely overwhelmed and you're dabbling in every single thing, then potentially you're not going to be able to respond quickly to everything because you have hundreds of things going on. That's why it's important to cut out the noise, find ways to reduce how much content you're consuming so that you can be more available to respond quickly to the things that matter pertaining to the content that you value most. It's counterintuitive to what we think we should be doing, to remove noise from our lives, because we feel like it's all about having more. It's about getting a bigger portfolio of stuff. It's about having more games in the Steam library. It's about checking to see if whatever we're doing is the most juicy thing we could possibly be doing right now. And so we just have this enormous backlog of unfinished projects, and we never really commit to anything because we're always thinking about what could be better, what we could be doing with our time. We can't even do a small project without thinking about pulling our phone out to check to see if there's something else that might have come in since 5 minutes ago when we checked last. But life isn't about that. Life is about having a simple life, a simple workflow where you aren't super busy, you aren't overloaded, and you respond quickly, honestly, candidly, with very low latency. If you do that, life tends to get easier because you don't have to worry about catching up every single time. But that means slowing down so that you can go faster. It means accepting that there's going to be some things that you don't even need to get involved with at all, because all they're going to do is decrease your efficiency in the areas that matter. Find ways to simplify your life. Always ask yourself the question of, does this add value? When you think about switching from one thing to something else, ask yourself, is switching going to add value, or is it just going to cost me momentum? It's like if I get a advertisement from an insurance company that I don't do business with saying I could save $5 a month by switching to a different insurance company. I should look at that and say, is that even worth my time? Because it's $5. Is it worth it for me to cancel a policy, create a new policy, go through all of that effort so that I can save $5 a month? Or is my time worth more than the $5? Is the relationship with the existing provider worth more than $5? So you see, not every single thing that promises an advantage is something that needs our attention. And once we find something that's meaningful, something that's useful, something that satisfies the needs we have, then I also think it's important to stop looking around. It's kind of like if you get to know different people and then eventually you get married, right? Then at that point you can stop looking, right? I mean, if you don't stop looking and you continue to look around to see, who else is out there? Maybe I could trade up. Well, you're probably going to have a bad experience with that. It's probably not the best strategy for you to continue looking after you get married. Wouldn't recommend that. So it's the same thing in life, but we're always surrounded by things that make us think that we need to, diversify the portfolio. Sometimes the best thing you can do, maybe just put all your money into a dividend bearing stock, and then just, don't worry about it for a few years. Maybe that would be better than looking at the stock market every 5 minutes. And then what can you do with those 5 minutes that you spend here and there all the time, checking the stock market neurotically? I don't know. Maybe you could go to the park with your kids. Maybe you could read a book. Maybe you could play a game or something. Think about all those things that you can do when you aren't encumbered by things that don't actually add value to your life. If a little bit of spice is good, that doesn't mean that a lot more is going to be a lot better. Always try to be a person who keeps your word. In a society where we can always hide behind text messages and social media accounts, and we can always be connected to everything, but we can also be very surface level and fickle in everything we do. Make your dealings genuine. Be a person who says yes and no and does not try to avoid the light confrontation of being honest with people. And remember that the truth is always the way to go. Sometimes we think about, what should I say? If you have a job interview or you have, a legal conversation of some kind, you might think about these things. What do I say? I don't want to say the wrong thing. But the truth is, if you just quickly, deliberately, immediately tell the truth to the best of your knowledge, and you're transparent, then that is fine. You don't have to worry about figuring out how you can tell some sort of a fantastic yarn that's going to enrapture people. Just tell the truth, and tell it sooner rather than later. If something is good, call it good. If something is concerning, then speak your concerns. Don't put everything off to a better time, a more convenient season. Deal with things now. Let your life be filled with fewer things. And when you have things that work well, don't always feel like you have a need or an urge to somehow trade up and upgrade to the next new thing, because quite often the next new thing is not going to lead you to a better experience than being faithful and true to the things which have been timeless and enduring in your life already. As always, good luck on your adventure. Till next time, thanks so much for watching.